Welcome to Generation Dan. Now I am become Halloween starer of children. Um, Welcome to Generation Dan, the comedy podcast based on generational differences. I'm Atlas. I'm your millennial. Who else is here with me?
I'm Dino, the genetic marvel, and I am having a spectacular Spooktober. I'll tell you that. As you can see from my mascara, I am popping.
Yeah, for people listening to that, you're like, he's a boy? Like,
hey, and I look fabulous. I'll tell you that right now.
And our guest today, welcome back to Nina Dicker, everybody.
Hi, my name is Nina Dicker, and I am here.
Yes.
Currently.
Present.
It was a late night. I don't know what to tell you.
That's fair. You know what? It's I find it hilarious that growing up, like I would go out and then at like 2:00 in the morning, I'm like, we could probably still catch a late movie like downtown Toronto. So we would like leave a club and then go see a movie, get home at 4:00. I'd be up at 7, have breakfast with my parents, and then go do stuff. And people are like, oh, that's crazy. And I'm like, nah, it's really not. Now I'm like, I think I might have had a problem back then. That's definitely like FOMO on steroids kind of thing. You're like, there's always something to do.
Were you also on drugs?
No, I did more drugs now than I did when I was young. I was in it. I saved myself for marriage, Nina. I was like a pure child and everything. Now looking back, I'm like, just the experiences I've had. So for anyone who's listening or you're watching at home, I am working a Halloween village. It has been, I feel seen just because I have been extremely creepy and making people uncomfortable, and I'm having the best time of my life. It's very exciting, but also too, like, it's weird because now I'm a lot more fast and mobile, having lost like 240 pounds, which you're like, that is the size of another fat person, right? So I was 2 fat people, and now I'm only one fat person, and it woohoo definitely, you know.
See, now I'm imagining, like, have you ever seen Zombieland? Either of you?
Oh, it's classic.
Yeah. So where they're in the grocery store and the super fat guy comes out from behind one of the, that's what I'm imagining Dino as.
See, you would think that. However, the best part has been that, like, my nature, as we know, because once you're a fat guy for 40 years, you're just like, well, I'll die fat. And then I said no, and apparently now I'm just gonna die chubby. That's, which I'm okay with. It's reasonable. So like, I'm like, oh, I'll put on a fat guy costume, and people are like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna make you a welder, and I'm like, okay. And so it's been weird. And then people are like approaching me, and they're just like, I had 2 women tried to touch my wiener. That was interesting, but I have like a welder's apron, so it's like, haha, joke's on you. That area is flat. I'm like a Ken doll, which is great. At least in the Halloween haunt. And then somebody gave me a Christmas goose, which also she wasn't like a senior citizen or anything, like, you know how old ladies will do that, but like it was a young person, and she just, and I was like, hey, yeah. And
okay,
then
so giving someone a Christmas goose, that's like an expression, right?
Like squeezing their buttocks.
Okay.
You got your Christmas goose?
Yeah, I've never heard that.
I would never heard that. Is that a fat person colloquialism?
No, I think it's just somebody who's comfortable in the winter type thing. I'm in Canada, people. That's what we do. We give people Christmas gooses. Also, Canada eating goose are a thing. It's a national bird.
Canada does love their geese.
Well, and also for the rest of the world, you can call it a viper chicken because it is fucking dangerous. They are aggressive. Canadian geese are. Well, you're not allowed to kill a Canada goose. There's a fine of like $5,000, and that's like $7 American. A lot. It's a lot. So.
Congratulations on losing all that weight. I am working on it. I am actually considered morbidly obese in the YouTube comment sections. All my shorts. The guys are like, go on a diet, Earth Pig, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure all pigs are Earth pigs, but
that's a good point. That's see, like I think through the whole thing, the most disappointing has been men. because you're like, that's not even a good comeback. Like, I walk around and I say I used to be a land manatee, and you're like, that is a real thing. You're like, because there's a water manatee, and now I individually am a land manatee.
Okay, so that's 2 of the 4 elements that have been brought up: Earth pig, water manatee. I wonder what's going to happen for fire. That'll be interesting.
We got to come up with a good.
I feel like it would just be somebody with really bad breath, like perpetually bad breath is like just a fire breather. Yeah, maybe. It definitely can work. It's a thing. Well, this is the thing. Is what we were talking about for a subject, everyone. Since we're already 6 minutes in, we might as well tell them what we're talking about. That's fair. Is the idea that a lot of the times in life, you're the last person to know things, which it will be about you. So I know that I recently heard, so we talked about this a few months ago. My brother passed away, and regretfully, I never got to show him that I had lost more weight than him, and he would always be the fat one. So it kind of hurt. But also too, while we were going through the arrangements, one of my brothers was like, "Hey, this girl is in our church, and she knows you from high school." And she was like, she was in love with you all of high school. I'm like, I don't even know that person's name. I'm like, I have zero recollection of it. And I'm like, bro, I was a huge person. Like, I was young, so my wiener worked and everything, but I was a big guy, and I'm like, I just was like, I'll die alone. No one will love me. Like, that's how I lived my life. So I'm like, she was like, no. She had like this crazy crush on you, and I'm like, man, people need to tell me things, because I'm like observant of like the universe, but myself, I'm like, oh no, I'm just here for this. That's all I do.
That's crazy.
It's okay. I was thinking of this the other day. Let's say you die and go to heaven.
That's a big bet, but okay.
Yeah, I was like, hard if, but
it's a hard if.
Would you rather have the ability to see every time somebody complimented you, or be able to see all of the decisions that turned out to be wrong?
Oh, those are neither good answers.
Because I put this as an Ask Reddit question. Everyone's like, all the compliments. I want to see all the compliments.
No.
Like, okay, me being the petty ass person that I am, I'm like, I want to see every wrong decision I made, because then you can process of elimination what the correct things were.
Okay, but like, what if all of the bad decisions you made, like, weren't like you were happy with the outcome?
Yeah.
And then the bad decisions you made, like, they were the best choices you made. Like, it turns around like, oh, that was the worst decision you made, and you're like, I love that job. And like, yeah, that was definitely not your calling. That ruined your future. Like,
well, I feel like I'd only want to see all the bad choices I made if I could, like, if I could use that in the next life or go back and fix it. Because if they're just like, here's all the wrong choices you made, that sucks.
Get fucked. Yeah. Sucks to be you.
Oh, bummer. You're just disappear.
Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm so this was our page for what was supposed to happen last week, because I got COVID finally after 3 years and not talking to people for a very, very long time. I finally got it. So I still have a bit of a cough, and so yeah, fun times, but I did feel like I was going to die for most of the time.
Yeah, I think it was like maybe the second time ever we had to just not have an episode.
Yeah,
because it was you, and then something happened with our guest where like she had it too, and then not COVID, but just like I think the flu. But it was just one of those things where like, screw it. Like,
case of hemorrhoids. It was really bad hemorrhoids. I remember that guest. Yeah, they were horrible. But no, it's like, realistically, you never know. Listen, I've it's like my Vietnam. Okay, I'm a fat guy, kind of. I'm like a retiring fatso. It's weird. Yeah, formerly known as Gigantor. That's it's weird, but that's like one of those things. Yeah, like, that's a hard question, Atlas. I don't know, Nina. I like your answer just because, like, I shouldn't be able to know all the badness and then be like, get fucked. Like, I should be able to use it, right? Like, that seems
Because then, like, what happens after? Do you just is that the end? Like, then everything goes black and you don't exist anymore? What a terrible way to
Well,
end it.
I imagine it'd be like, you go into the pearly gates or whatever, and then just get to have that knowledge, right? Where
Well,
because
meander on all the disappointment you've had in life. Like you're like, well, I'm bad at decision making. That's
Like,
just what I learned.
Imagine running into, like, I don't know, like your idols or family or like Prince, and then I'm being like, hey, what's up? How was your life? And you're like, you know what? I thought it was good, but like, actually kind of wasn't that great. Like, I think I made a lot of mistakes. And everyone in heaven is just like walking around like, God damn it.
Like that really was, that's not the good place. That's the bad place. Right? Like, that seems definitely like, you've gotten into heaven. Now we're going to reveal all of the poor decisions you made. And you're like, that doesn't seem like a celebration of me existing. That's not. And then like, now you have eternity to think it over.
See, okay, here's the thing. I am such a like spiteful person when it comes to
accurate,
like just being right about stuff, arguments, thing, whatever. That I would be the guy who's like sitting there taking notes, be like, okay, I was wrong about this. That means I was right about X, Y, and Z thing that isn't here.
Theoretically.
Yeah. And then just kind of go from there. Like,
see, that is like, I've had this conversation with my wife where she'll bring up stuff and I immediately have an answer, and she's like, how are you always? And I'm like, listen, I'm crazy, right? So any conversation we could possibly have, I've already had that conversation in my head 1,000 times, so I can be prepared for everything. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like how you can never out fat guy a fat guy, right? Like you can't make fun of me for being fat. And that's why now, like, people will make jokes. Somebody was like, how big do I look? And I'm like, too big, fatso. And I walked away. And he was just like, that's rude. And I'm like, your existence is rude. It offends me. And he was a circle, though, and he was working security. I'm like, what are you going to save yourself from? Diabetes? Definitely not. That's not. So, it's, well, like, he didn't look like, I carry my weight very well. Like, I was excessively fat, but at the same time, people were like, hey, looks like he's got a big wiener. Like, it was fine. But
they don't call him the genetic marvel for nothing.
Exactly. Right. And I explained that to somebody yesterday. I'm like, oh, because he has a YouTube channel, so we subscribe to each other's. And he goes, Dino the genetic marvel. I'm like, oh, well, when I started, I was 400 pounds. I was a Big Mac away from 400 pounds and didn't have any titties. And then I was 500 pounds and didn't have any titties. And now I've lost 260 pounds and I still don't have any titties, which I'm like, that's pretty amazing, because even like the guys who didn't have titties that lost weight ended up with floppy titties. And you're like, which is disappointing, right? Because you're like, that's just sad. And you're like, they obviously breastfed or something. I don't know. It's weird. It's just horrible.
Look at that fucking Kevin James and the King of Queens. Just
exactly, right? And you're like, that's just, it's horrible, because like that won't help with a man's ear. You just need surgery because your big floppy titties are now just like 2 eggs on a fence. It's horrible, right? So
no, I've also thought about becoming 400 pounds, because I am not 400 pounds and I also don't have any titties. So it's like,
listen, realistically, I highly recommend it. There's a lot of joy to have at 400. 500, not so much, because you're at that point where you can't really wipe your ass properly, and you're like, that's not worth life. Like that's
okay, but like, but that's why bidets exist. I don't.
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot happening down there. It's not a good. Like there are issues. Okay. That's I talked with my wife about this, where I said, I'm like, listen, if I can no longer wipe my own ass, I need a bullet right in the face, not in the back of the head. I need to know it's coming because I deserve it, right? But alternatively, now I've said that if I ever use the words "runner's high," referring to myself, again, right in the face. I don't. See,
now I'm imagining you like in either scenario, right? You're either too fat to move, or you come back, it's like, oh man, I really got.
Let's go jogging.
And then from the other room, you hear, "The world is a vampire."
Yeah, that's exactly what
comes in with a gun.
Immediately, because I just don't want to be those people. Right? because like just so everyone knows, if you saw me at my fattest and I stunk, it wasn't my butthole. It was just regular BO of not showering because I wanted to see if you'd say something. That is literally what I did. I have records. I don't want to show because it's a little disappointing. I'll be honest with you guys. That only one person in like a long time was like, "Hey man, you need a shower," and I was like, "Thanks for mentioning it. It's been really toxic." So, because I'm that kind of person. You get to a certain point where you're like, "What are you gonna do? You ain't walking around with a forklift, friend. I'm stuck here, whether you like it or not." And that is, it brought me a lot of joy. I'm not a good person, people. I'm not a good person.
Was that like a revelation when someone was like, "Hey, man, you need to shower," or did you were you aware of what was going on?
So the opposite was I was actively not showering, and I'm like, "Wow, still nothing." Jesus, like I went. I don't want to say how long, but I went a long time not changing my underwear just to see what would happen, and that was the kicker. Was that like if you don't shower but regular change your undergarments, people will just let it pass. But if you don't change your underwear, it gets to a point. It's around 30 days, just so everyone knows. It is it's a lot. And you're like, God, I wish someone would say something. This is a horrible experiment. It's not it's definitely it's an experience, but that was
an experiment that nobody asked you to do. You're just doing it for
listen, science is not about what people want, it's what people need to know. Okay, it's about knowledge that they haven't discovered yet.
That is fair. Something about the topic about like something you didn't know about yourself. This is a little bit off the topic, but I'll get back into it. I feel like I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's so common now for all of your friends to diagnose you with autism.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's a really like everyone on TikTok is like, I might be autistic, and you might also be autistic. And at a certain point, I was like, am I? Am I autistic?
100%.
I don't know.
Listen,
maybe I just really like rocks. Like, is that weird? Like
if they're smooth, it feels nice in your pocket.
This train schedule is super interesting, but that doesn't mean I'm autistic.
Listen, when they're efficient, it really brings me joy. That's not a weird thing. Like, people should feel joy from an efficient train schedule. That's fair. Like an on-time train, man, come on. A bus that arrives when it's supposed to. Listen, that's a good day. That is a good feeling.
I had some friends tell me they thought I was autistic when I kept telling everyone that I was really good at flirting.
Oh, yeah.
So like because I thought I was in college, I thought I was really, really good at flirting. That's why I got laid so often. That's a humble brag.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I was just convinced. I was like, I'm the best at flirting. And people were telling me after, they were like, yeah, we thought maybe you were on the spectrum because we don't think that you understood that what you were doing wasn't flirting. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this was a pretty recent discovery. I was like, no, I'm still good at flirting. Like, I still got it. Mm-hmm. And they were like, okay, so what do you like? What is your flirting? Go ahead, like, explain it. And I'm like, okay, I'll go up to a person and I'll talk to them for a little bit and I'll get their vibe. And I'm physically attracted to them. I'm attracted to what they're saying. And then probably like 30 minutes in, I'll hit them with the line and I go, hey, do you want to have sex with me? And most of the time they say yes. And it's worked every time. And they're like, so that's not flirting. You're just good at asking yes or no questions. Like,
that's a huge skill. That is a huge skill.
Yeah.
Men need that kind of. Listen, okay.
We're dumb. Men are dumb.
100%. Nina, you are a player. Let's just stop right there, okay? And your friends, not good friends. Just not good friends. They are not seeing men. They're treating men like objects. They're like, oh, we play these mind games. Absolutely not. Men just, you go, hey, would you like to have sex? And men go, oh, I would definitely like to do that, because their brain power just about stops very close. Like, wait, we've talked for a little while, and let's be honest, if you didn't ask, they were going to ask because they don't know what to do. They're very confused. So, you're a player.
Well, I mean, because I feel like men. I hate that. I feel
that is aggressive OG butt stuff, but hey, good on you, bro. Just know what you like. That's a good point. Yeah.
I feel like so many men that I've talked to, and you guys can interject since you are that. I feel like so many men that I've talked to, women that they get annoyed with friends, like their female friends or partners, when instead of being like, I'm cold, can you get me a blanket? They'll be like, oh, it's really chilly in here. And they kind of expect, because that's how we think. If our partner, or be it man or woman, anybody, if they're like, oh yeah, it's really chilly in here, we're like, how do we fix this problem? Let's solve the problem. Right. Whereas men are like, I want to do the thing. Like, if you ask me to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to fix it.
Exactly.
And if you're like, can you get me a blanket? He's like, I can. That is a task I can do.
100%, Nina. Listen, Nina, I think you should start a school, Players Academy. Like, I would say your motto should be like, wave that big dicker, like something. I'm just spitballing. You don't have to take that like freely. You can.
Dicker harder.
Yeah, dicker harder, dicker two. Like, that's definitely Dicker the return.
Dicker, I hardly know her.
Listen, you brought her, all dicker. It's fine. There's definitely, like, realistically, you could have like levels, like first level or is like dicker harder. Level 2 is, bring that dicker back. Like, that's fine. Yeah. No, it's definitely, because, like, honestly, I feel like you've uncovered some sort of secret knowledge. Maybe you're a wizard. That's very possible, because
I'll tell you, the way to discover the secret knowledge is to have a therapist who's not afraid to fight you. Listen, I love therapy. I don't think people understand, like, all these dudes. Wait.
My partner is a gamer girl. She calls her body count multiplayer. Jesus, OG butt stuff. You are a man of the people, a person of the people. You are people. Congratulations.
Have we seen this person before?
I don't think so, but I'm having it.
All right. I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
I feel the trust. I love it. Please continue, Nina.
Sorry, I blacked out. What were we talking about? Therapy. I've always been a big advocate of therapy.
And violence, apparently. I'm with you.
Just because, like, I feel, what is it? It's like, okay, I'm not an advocate of therapy where the therapist is just like, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
And like, just no. Yeah, like, I want to butt heads. Like, if you're my therapist, you better tell me. Like, if I give you a situation and you're like, oh, it sounds like you really dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be like, you know what, Deborah? Let's talk about that. Did I drop the ball? I don't think so.
Okay.
I know you're a therapist.
I'm just gonna put this out there, Nina. I think you're the Hillary Clinton we all wanted. I feel like, and I'm okay with the murders. I'm so okay with the murders. I just feel like you're a cause for good. Maybe you should look into that, because, listen, alternatively, okay, we've all seen just recently, Dylan Mulvaney got Woman of the Year. Maybe you could be Man of the Year. You could become president of the world. I really feel like you got it, Nina.
I feel like I could do that.
I feel like your logic is killing it. And if anything, women who don't agree with Nina, you're part of the problem. Let's be very clear. Because
just
you're just
reverse
not,
Andrew Tate that.
Listen, I'm just saying, listen, let's be honest. I'm not sure if you've seen Pearl. She's also got red hair. The two of you, people would, like, you could go around punching people in the face, and I feel like that's good content.
My mom said if I do or say something with a smile, then nobody can be mad at me.
That I'm pretty sure that works. That's why I choose not to smile, and I'm like, bring it on. I love the violence.
Leave it.
Jesus.
You know what, OG Bud stuff? I fully recommend therapy for you. I think it'd be really.
Or a fight club. Or a fight club. One of the two.
Both.
Maybe.
Fight club.
I have this theory where that like we've had a lot of people in existence who are get to like next levels of industry and power and authority, but they're also like 4'7" and can't actually talk words. And I'm like, that's not you. I feel like there has to be a physical component to all achievements. So it's like you can get a degree, but then you also have to be a bullfighter to get your master's. Like that, I feel like you want to be a doctorate, you have to be some sort of laser fighter or something, like there has to be some sort of balance between the world, because you're like, you can't just be, oh, I'm rich and people respect me, which number one, they don't respect you. Number two, being rich isn't a superpower. That's you're just because Iron Man is just rich. Bruce Wayne is a perfect human being. He's a specimen. It's different. That's why there's logic there. But Nina 2024 people, I'm just gonna say, vote Dicker, you'll be happy.
Here's what I don't understand. So people think you're autistic because you just kind of straightforward flirt with people. Like you're not going up and be like,
because you're a hero.
Have sex, like you're at least talking to them, and then doing that is like the last.
Well, yeah, I think half an hour of getting to know someone is enough time.
It's forever.
Yeah, I feel like that's like so many TikToks in a row. Like people don't even understand. So like
of one person's content. Like that's a lot.
It's a lot.
What's funny is that when I was 12, my parents were going through like the shitty part of the divorce, and my dad wanted to convince the court that I was on the spectrum, so he took me to 4 different psychiatrists to see if I was autistic. 3 of them were like, no, he's 12. Like he likes boobs and Yu-Gi-Oh.
He's normal weird.
Yeah. and the 4th one was like, maybe, kinda. And then he showed that one.
That person is your therapist to this day.
No, fuck that guy. And then so it was funny doing that. And then I now as an adult, I am engaged to someone. By the way, 3 months. It's fucking happening. Yeah.
And still no murder.
Still no murder. Still no murder.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. We'll see.
So I'm engaged to someone who is training to be a child psychologist, and I brought it up like because she used to work at a school for kids on the spectrum, and I'm like, do you think I'm on the spectrum? She's like, oh yeah. So.
But let's be honest though. I feel like there is a hey, you're on the spectrum. But it's an acceptable, worthwhile, like for me, I like to say I'm like scary in that, oh, I'm definitely capable of killing, but I chose not to murder, right? Whereas other people, you're like, oh, that person has no choice. They're going to be a murderer, right? Like, so like on the spectrum, you're like, oh, this guy would be good in an accounting office or as a crossing guard and not a murderer. You're like, that's a beneficial on the spectrum situation, right? And then you have like, hey, we have to tell him when a conversation's over or else he just won't stop talking and it just gets uncomfortable. And you're like, that would be a not good part of the spectrum. You're like, I feel like there are, beneficial things, right? Because
there's a lot of murder on that spectrum that you're talking about.
I know, right?
Like when I think of the
there
spectrum,
are too many people, Nina. There are too many people. I'm hitting the problem at the source. I'm not waiting for later. Okay.
But like ever since then, I've been trying, like noticing things. Like I have to remember when someone asks me about myself, I have to go remember to ask them back how they're doing.
Oh, that's bad.
No, that I feel like sometimes that happens to me where I'm just like, I get excited about something I'm talking about and then I forget that I didn't ask them about the same thing. And then I'm like, was that bad? Like, I don't, because when I do that, when I ask someone about something and then they talk about it for a long time, I'm just really excited to hear. I'm not thinking about my answer. I'm not thinking about them asking me. Like, I'm just excited to hear what they're saying.
Listen, I am a firm believer that one person in a conversation has to start that conversation, okay? And if I don't ask you in a timely manner, you can just bring it up. That's okay, because you asked me first. You could just bring it up, because that doesn't make me a bad person because I forgot to ask you. I'm just a narcissist. That's okay. Like, but I'm, you
might
know,
all be narcissists here, and that's why we feel that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who would have thought I'm the chief, character in my own goddamn story? Yeah, that's a real thing. Why would I not be the star of my own goddamn show? Are you kidding me?
Like Nina and I are both in LA where like you kind of have to be a narcissist to survive.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Or at least in the field that we know each other from, that being comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like there's other stuff. Like I don't really look people in the eyes too often.
Apparently I look people in the eyes too much. Like I've had several people like people who are not friends with me comment and be like, "Oh yeah, you make a lot of eye contact." And I'm like,
what's the appropriate amount of eye contact?
Listen,
as a thing?
There are a lot of so I follow Nina on social media because I think she's an entertaining content creator. Yes. However, she does make a lot of front pictures on her stories where they are all eye contact and as many chins as possible, and I'm there for it. That's the specific look, and it's like dead in that, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's aggressive. I like it. I think that listen, it's realistically, it's about setting an accurate bar, and you're like, listen, if you're into this, it's only going up. And you're like, that's a good sales feature where you're like, hey, like you sell a car and you go, look, you're gonna have to replace the tires often, but as long as you do that, it's good. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm okay with replacing tires often. That's fine. There's no problem, right? Like it's like, look, I have a car that burns oil. As long as you keep on adding oil, it keeps on going. It's fine. It's fine. It makes great sounds. It makes a lot of room and sounds. It's perfect, right? That's what you want in a car, as long as you keep on adding oil. It's a solution.
Okay, Dino did the sound, and then in my brain, it filled it in as the auga, like for the old tiny car horn.
Also, too, it's got a very manly horn. It's like, yeah, no, it's fine. There's nothing worse. I used to drive, my wife had a Nissan Versa, which, if anyone knows a Nissan Versa, when I was at my largest, which was around 500 pounds, if it had a moonroof, I could have stood up and wore it like a dress. It was very that kind of size car, which is weird. It was my wife called it Mary Poppins purse because I could sit and drive it and then get out and sit behind myself, which seems weird because I'm also like 6'2".
Wait, and drive it, get out.
I would drive it, get out, and sit behind me. Yeah, without adjusting the seats.
Oh,
yeah, right.
Shit. That is crazy. Yeah, without adjusting the seats, that's kind of an important detail.
Yeah.
Well, who's going to adjust the seat after you get out? You don't adjust the seat after you get out like a weirdo.
No, it wasn't so much
somebody else's problem.
Yeah, but in my head, I'm thinking, well, couldn't anybody do that to get out and then just sit in the seat behind you?
Technically, you are correct because most people are human-sized. I, however, used to be a land manatee. That's a real thing. Yeah. Just look it up, people. Use Google. Okay, it's only reasonable.
Do you know the genetic land manatee? So many good possible episode titles.
Listen, that's just, I like my cars like I like them and easy to get into. Well, listen, but not a carpool, I would say. That's
listen.
It's my personal preference.
Is the person watching this live stream like a book of 70s pickup lines come to life? Like I'm seeing a bunch of those.
These are pickup lines. Well, these aren't.
Their name is OG Butt Stuff. I feel like he's living his dream. Live your best life, OG Butt Stuff, as you should. True. That's fine. That's totally reasonable. Hilariously. So, as I said, I'm in the
Halloween 70s joke book, I guess would be the.
That's fine. That would be OG. That's original gangster is a real thing. I too am a card carrying OG. It's of not good things, but that's fine. So with like in the Halloween haunt, that has been one of the best parts about it is that like people I've been saying to people, so just so everyone knows, right now I am still recovering from COVID, my voice is like super sexy, but as well I would drop it down even lower. So I'll say, I'll see you in your dreams tonight, right? Which is obviously very sexy. But
when with your voice being how it is, when you say dreams instead of nightmares, that implies
sexual
and not scary, right?
And then I follow up with, I'll be there until it's very uncomfortable for both of us. Now, I won't use that on only women because it's 2023. Be inclusive. And then
Yeah.
one guy's like, I'm like, I'll be in your dreams tonight around every dark corner. And he goes, I'll meet you in the corner. I'm like, maybe in the closet. He's like, what? And I'm like, it's 2023. It's okay now. And he's like, it's not okay. And I'm like, we'll make it work.
That's weird that you guys had a conversation as part of the haunted house. Usually it's keep moving, go. Like
no, I have made people stop and have staring contests, which like I really feel like I've been training for this my entire life because as a fat person, you just observe life as it happens around you. And what are they going to do? Carry your wife in a fire forklift? That's not, people don't carry those around. It's not a thing,
true.
right?
okay.
So
Challenge. I want you to say in your either COVID or haunt voice the first line of the Friends theme song. Come out, be like, so no one told you life was going to be this way.
So no one told you life was gonna be
No,
this
don't sing
way.
it. Don't
Oh,
sing
don't
it.
sing it.
Oh.
Say it. Like just say it.
So life was told. No. So life. No one told you life was going to be this way.
And then recede into the shadows.
Yeah. Listen. So okay, here. Anyone who's watching here, I'll give you a little treat. If you look up, so I'm working. It's called Hexwood. They are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, because they're old people too and everything. So this is me. Their famous person that's on there is my close personal friend and a former guest of the show, Kyle, who has been doing fantastic things there. He is the butcher. I'm the welder. And these are us and two waitresses as well, because what's a Halloween village without waitresses, right? They are doing fantastic. But at the same time, I just essentially continue to just look at people, and which, like, for me, okay, Nina, you know this, being a woman, is that men will just stare because we're weirdos. Yeah. And so every woman who's watching this, just so you know, we're just looking. We're not trying to like whip our wieners out or anything. We're just checking things out because you're like, oh, there may be something interesting there. Let me just look at it for a while. And then you're like, oh, this has gotten uncomfortable. I need to turn away. And that's what we do. Now, in this situation, I just get to stare, and then I just continuously stare. And then they'll go hi, and I just don't say anything. And then I wait extra long until they're almost gone, and then I go, hello. And they I definitely made one guy crap his pants, but he was quite old, so I'm like, I'm not sure if he was already gonna crap his pants, like it was already in process. But like he definitely, there was a smell. I'm kind of proud of it a little bit. So it's one of those things, right? But it's just like yeah.
I've never gotten to, like, as an actor, I think it'd be so fun to participate in a haunted house or like a haunt type thing. And I've always thought about what I would do like as a scary person.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would just like come out of the shadows in like some like dress that's just a little too short, and I'd be like, table for two. Table for two. Johnson, table for two. It's like everyone's worst nightmare of a host at a restaurant. Like, yeah, we're actually really busy right now. We don't have any tables. Just everything's empty behind me. Like,
Okay.
no, sorry.
Sorry, we're all full.
Yeah, I'm just like chewing some gum, like, can I help you? Just like give them the up down.
I feel like I just had a stroke. Just every impression you made, I was like, I would just start murdering everyone in that restaurant. Be like, I'll make a table for myself. No problem. It's cool. Yeah. I'll just stand here in the middle of the hallway. Like it's immediately.
That seems like I think you should leave sketch where it's like a haunted house of just like the scariest things in everyday life, and it's just like inconveniences and like things that piss you off.
I just like walk up to a guy with like a pregnancy test, and I'm like, I'm late. I don't know what happened.
Bro, you are Nina. You gotta.
And then
if you don't want to come to Toronto for the month of October,
then it's somebody who looks like me with like Andrew Tate glasses, and just be like, babe, I just bought a Corvette, or like whatever the like, just to be.
There's nothing wrong with the Corvette for Corvette watchers. We love you, and don't worry about Atlas. He lives in LA. It doesn't count. It's fine.
No, but just like do shit that is not so much scary, but like
douchey.
douchey,
Yeah.
douchey or annoying or like.
This is the thing, is that like I had a theory today, and I was like, I think that like, because okay, so Nina, you've traveled a lot for comedy and for work and stuff, right? I'm sure you've experienced this, how like on the East Coast where I am, people are mean to you but kind, whereas in Los Angeles and the West Coast, people are very nice to you but absolutely ready to stab you or cut your throat, right?
Or they're nice in a way that is mean.
Yeah,
They say
you're
something
like,
nice, and you're like, oh, that. Now that I think about that, that actually makes me really insecure.
You're right. You're like, oh, you're so brave to wear something that size, and you're like, fuck you, man.
Be like,
What
oh,
the
I
hell?
love how you just wear anything. Like,
Oh,
shit
what the hell?
Yeah.
That is not like, and that's like, it's one of those things where you're just kind of like, hey, why would you be like that? But that's like, it's one of those interactions where I'm like, see, people need real friends where someone say, hey man, do we need to talk? Like, are you having a thing, right? And I feel like on the West Coast, you guys don't have that anymore. Like, there's no, people just don't. You're like, you should see a therapist. You're like, no, I just need a friend. It's not, I don't,
Or you're like, I do. I'm just talking to you about it. Damn.
yeah, I can't afford that, so I'm your next best thing. Just tell me what you think, right? And then people are like,
Therapy,
oh, just live your best life. You're like, that's not good advice. Anyone who tells you live your best life is not your friend. They're definitely
they're an influencer.
They're also possible. That's worse than like a pretend therapist, right?
Yeah. I once, oh my God. This is on same topic, but a little off topic. I was in a little commercial class and I made great friends with someone who I later found out was like a massive influencer, but like not in the comedy scene in which I'm in, but in like fashion and makeup. And I mean, like, here's the thing. She was stunning. She was gorgeous. Still is.
What a bitch.
But like she was like, I think she was like Puerto Rican and Cuban, and like she was just absolutely working it. And we kind of just like bounced jokes off each other. We were having fun in this commercial class, and by the end of the class, she was like, oh yeah, you said you're still looking for an agent? And I was like, yeah, I'm still trying to, reach out. And she goes, oh my God, I would love to refer you to my agency. Like, let me talk to my agent. And I was like
a real person?
I was like, I don't know if your agent is looking for this. I don't know if that's very kind of you. And I think you're so sweet, but like, girly pop.
Okay,
like,
did you do it anyway? Because like, what if it?
Of course, no, of course. Yeah. Right. And then
sorry, it's a great response, Jake. Oh, I definitely took advantage of that situation.
Of course I did. No expectations, but I took advantage of it. And I emailed them. I was like, hey, so and so referred me. They were like, that's so nice. Yeah. You need new headshots and also improv. You need improv on your resume. Which I was already in an improv class. And so I went, oh yeah, no worries. And I had already scheduled headshots. So I sent them the new stuff about a month later after it was all said and done. I was like, hey, I put this stuff on the resume. Would you like to take a little peek at it again? And they were like, we're not really doing that right now. And I was like, and this was before the strike. Nothing was happening. Nothing was going on. And I was like, cool. Fair. And they were basically like, get back to us when you're hot. And I was like, for sure.
Look,
you're right.
And you know what? But realistically, they didn't insult. They gave you some good advice for free and sent you on your way with wishes. Like, realistically, that was kind. That was really kind. It could have been kinder, let's be fair. Yeah. But at the same time, you're going, they didn't have to do any of that stuff. They said, hey, let's try and not be pieces of shit, which I feel if we try more to not be pieces of shit, people will be honest with us. And maybe Nina has friends that will just walk up to you and say, hey, would you like to touch wieners? And then go from there.
I wonder what would happen if you were to like go up to them now and they'll be like, please, somebody scab with us, please. Anybody.
Yeah.
No,
we don't care if you're hot.
This is not an agency that is in desperate need of anything. I looked into the agency. They rep like Instagram models, and I'm over here like,
okay.
I got a few views on a comedy video on Instagram. Would you like to work with me? And they're like,
So,
that's cute.
In that voice too. Like
yeah, that would definitely. And also maybe a horn, just beep beep, and just be like, yeah, maybe you could represent me. Beep, beep.
Maybe that's
And then,
why I don't have an agent or a manager, because I go up and I go, I'm really funny. Do you I'm just fully insecure, just like
Yeah.
you're like, I tell jokes. How is that a selling feature? That's
like, jokes and
OG
sometimes
butt stuff.
they're
I call our
sad.
wiener the Fantastic Four. Listen, as long as it's fantastic, that's all you need, sir.
Okay, now
or ma'am.
I want to know how he got OG butt stuff. Like, what is this? Is this a person who
I don't know who
discovered-
this person is. Nobody of our usual like people who show up and watch the stream, because we're doing it earlier in the day than normal.
Also,
Well, here's the thing.
let's be honest. I also just want to shout out to OG Butt Stuff, because normally people who are OG would go capital O, capital G. However, he did O _ lowercase g, which definitely looks like a droopy-eyed weirdo staring at you, and I love it. So I'm just like, it's a vibe that I am here for, and in honor of Spooktober. Let's be honest.
True. OG butt stuff. Go to my Instagram. I have a whole story about butt stuff. I think you'd love it. I think we'd be quick friends. I do. I have a whole story. It's a bit. I have a butt plug. I bring it on stage with me. Everyone loves it.
I feel like it should be purple, and you should refer to it as Grimace. That's just
actually. Well, no, hold on. 2 seconds. I'll grab it.
Yeah.
It's going there.
In the meantime,
everyone.
All right.
Are we allowed to show these things on?
Yes, it's marked not for children on YouTube.
Oh, perfect.
So okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's I bring this on stage with me when I tell the story, and it's metal, and it's got a gem, and it makes a good sound. Let me see if I can get the mic near it. Just like hit it on things.
That is a aggressive sound.
First off, a butt plug with a gem. That is truly outrageous, but also so stupid.
Well, it's so that if somebody sees it in there, they're not
Did
like,
you just make a gem reference from the 80s cartoon, you rat bastard? How dare you spring that on me? How dare you?
You didn't. So sorry.
Someone had to.
And then the other thing is, like,
I
can't not see doorknobs when I look at butt plugs, or vice versa. I guess
that's also true. Like,
Yeah.
realistically, I feel like some of them would have, like, those the phone things that could have, like, they come out and it'll have like a hook on there, like you can put your finger in, so you make sure you don't lose it.
Yeah.
Like, that seems reasonable. I feel like I like that people are being innovative for themselves. That's why the 3D printer is going to be here forever, everyone. That's why we've made these changes.
Yeah.
So that you can make one customizable for your inner beauty.
It's true. Which also, PSA, I use this as a prop on stage. I don't actually use it. That would be wild. But the reason it's a prop is because this is sold as like a real butt plug, but it should not be used as a butt plug. Just in case anyone doesn't know, the base should always be wider than the widest part of the plug.
Yeah. So it doesn't get lost inside it.
Yeah, which that's actually what the story is about on my Instagram, is about almost losing it in me. Oh. And then I learned about proper butt plug etiquette. So this is just a prop. So anyone watching this live at 11 a.m. in the morning who's wondering about butt plugs, now you know.
Yeah. What you want is something that will widen larger than the top. Like my forearm, that wouldn't work.
No.
From the side, maybe from the side. That will work, right?
Just so you guys show off your muscles.
Yeah, no.
I really am. These are my strong suits. Like right here, just bam. Like I'm even getting these little dimple areas right around here. It's
nice.
All I can think of with all this talk is the Scrubs episode where the guy gets the light bulb stuck in him.
Oh
no!
Yeah,
that is.
Oh, God.
And then they're like spending the whole episode trying to like get it out, and they're like, do we pull on it? No, it would break inside him, and like they're like, how about
you cut around the butthole? Yeah. You cut around the butthole and just
what they end up doing is putting an angioplasty balloon, like the thing to inflate your clogged arteries. They do it past the light bulb and then inflate it so it pushes it out, and then pull the light bulb out.
I would like to have seen them try to cut the butthole out, remove it, Because remember, a butthole, you can fit 2 raccoons in a butthole. It's like 7.5 inches. It's fine.
Never heard that.
That's just
There's
scientific knowledge.
There's like a Patton Oswalt bit where I can't remember what he's talking about, but the phrase "the human rectum is almost nightmarishly elastic" is somewhere in there, and I can't remember what it's from. But
so the whole idea is that most raccoons can fit through a 4-inch tube because it's their skull is what will the rest of them can fold and tuck in. So your butthole of the average person, not someone formerly known as Gigantor, but
okay,
the average
all right,
person,
Dino. I see what you're getting at, but I wasn't trying to find out why you can fit 2 raccoons.
Almost 2. You need one that's smaller, maybe a couple.
A couple.
I was hoping to leave that in the past, and it's just
listen.
burned into my psyche forever.
First. It's not
It's
on
true.
me.
I did.
Okay?
It was my fault. It was my fault.
No,
and
it's
hilariously, Mick T, who is
just
wildly
walked in on
inappropriate,
butthole.
arrives at the 51st minute. Mick, you're gonna need to go back and watch this
my
episode because this was for you, sir.
Yeah. So when this drops on Thursday on your
Jesus
podcast
Christ, you're gonna have a great time.
My mom's gonna be so proud.
Oh no!
You almost had an agent in this episode. I don't know why she wouldn't be like.
I'll just forward this to like CAA and be like, "Hey,
yeah."
Listen, that's fair. What's up with dolphin blowhole now? Listen, that is less elastic. Only fits half a raccoon.
Yeah,
true.
It's know your worth, people.
Other friend of the show and past guest, John D. Ruddy, just got to his, or he had like a 10th anniversary stream on there, and I was like, happy anniversary, and congratulations and all that stuff. And then he brought us up on stream.
Oh, did he really?
Cool. Yeah, because it had my name, so he's like, oh, it's him.
Oh, it's that guy, the guy who talks about raccoons.
No, it's just like it's
inappropriate.
Atlas from Generation Dan. I loved being on Generation. It was nice. I didn't expect him to. I just
that's so sweet.
Yeah. It's what? See, that's the best part about this is that in an hour we actually make connections with people where we're like, hey, we are all only allegedly murderers. That's fine. It's nice.
I feel like if I had to kill, I could.
I feel like you have a collection of ears somewhere in that bedroom. That's just my opinion. Maybe foreskins. I don't know. I don't try not to judge.
Foreskins, you can just go to like
your local Moyle and just I'd be like, hey, you got any leftovers there, buddy? I'm looking for ring fingers. Like, what's that's weird.
I feel like it's hard to steal foreskins now. I feel like those are so commonly gotten rid of.
Commodity? Oh.
Yeah, I feel like it might be a commodity now. Don't tell the foreskin collectors.
Wasn't it like a thing to like save your baby's foreskin and or is it a piece of the umbilical cord? I
think it's just like a lock of their hair.
Yeah, it's the umbilical cord because it has stem cells. The foreskin is more for used in face creams. Just to be very clear, that is a real thing.
Noted.
It was on Steve Harvey, and that's why his wife doesn't love him anymore. That's true. I want to name a show Phantom Foreskin. It stopped growing.
The sequel to Danny Phantom, none of us want it.
Oh my God, weren't we just talking about how we should all be in therapy? I feel like that was
or a fight club.
I was thinking the other day, like I'm an English teacher, and I would love to do what Mr. Lancer, the teacher on Danny Phantom, he curses in book titles. And it's like
that's charismatic. That is that's a person who has done.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. That's
the way to do.
Well, like I feel like the more creative people are with their verbiage, it is to hide an inner evil, and that's pretty reasonable because Atlas uses really big words a lot, and 100% murderer.
How else is my creative writing degree going to come in handy?
See that? He's still living in the past, people.
Also, now that I'm teaching creative writing, I'm officially part of a pyramid scheme, so that's fun.
You're doing circumcisions.
Oh my God!
Listen, that's as long as everyone's knowledgeable that you're keeping the tips. Jake, can I take the leftovers home? Is that okay?
Imagine just like the parents being like, "Can we have this?" And the doctor being like, "No."
That's mine. I performed it. I get to keep it.
Finders keepers, okay?
Totally. Well, it's like, he's the first one to the mine. He stakes the claim. That seems, that's not appropriate. That's more Catholic Church kind of thing, but that's okay. That's fine.
Oh my God.
So I feel like this has been fantastic.
One more thing I wanted to talk about before we left, which is being that people are often the last thing or the last people to find out about something about themselves. What was something where either a relative or a friend or whatever had to sit you down and be like, hey, you know that blank about yourself, right? Or you know that you've been doing this for a long time, or you're making this person feel like shit, or whatever the thing is.
I feel like I could go serious and say that the last thing someone sat me down and talked to me about was that I tend to hold grudges and cut people off emotionally as a mechanism to protect myself from being too vulnerable. But I feel like that's too serious. And so what I am going to say is that someone recently sat me down and told me that the rims on the wheels of my car really should not be as scratched up as they are. And I should probably get better at driving.
I think people are just trying to tell you to self-identify as a woman. That's just your rims are scratched up. That's a woman's car. Just every time. Come on, Nina.
They're like, listen, you're giving a bad name to female drivers. Can
I feel
you just
no. There's no good name for female drivers. It only gets worse. Okay.
I want to argue with you on that. I really do, but I also can't.
My wife is Asian. Trust me. She doesn't. We will literally actively be like, oh, that person cut off 4 cars. Definitely a woman. Which type of Asian is it? And go and you start debating. And most often it's one that can't see over the steering wheel. Which is usually Southern Asia, just so people know. They get shorter as
some people are aware.
The higher up in Asia, the taller they get. I don't know why. Maybe it's the cold, but the hotter it gets, the shorter they get. And aggressively driving, which you're like, that's a positive kind of, but can they drive? No. So they're like aggressively doing badly. It's not healthy, people.
I think it's like a heat rises thing, right? Where if
heat does rise. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's my guess.
Why would they be short?
Because heat rises. So if they're not that tall, they can't feel the hot. Dino, science. Okay.
And it's also like,
I don't know. Now that I'm not fat, I'm enjoying the heat a little bit more.
I still don't.
Yeah, but you're in LA. All you have is the hot. Like I am in Canada, where we have 2 seasons.
But I've like been places for extended periods of time with colder weather, and I just like it better.
Yeah, but you were born in LA, which means technically you have a red beard, and you're born in LA. You've never known having a soul, sir. Like it just doesn't exist.
It's just the beard. It's not everything else.
Yeah, but then you're like, listen, up until here, no soul. Yeah. The rest of it, LA born. Boom, no soul, just immediately.
Oh my god. I think for me it was okay. You know how in Family Guy there's that dinner that Quagmire and Brian have, and Quagmire just tears his ass to shreds.
Yeah.
Right. Where he's like, why don't you like me, Quagmire? And he's like, here's all the reasons that I don't like you.
And all of them are perfectly warranted because Brian is the worst.
Yeah. So like I had something like that where a girl I was dating in high school, when she broke up with me, she had like that kind of tirade. And I was like, oh shit, she's kind of right about like 3/4 of that. And
damn.
Yeah.
That is not nice.
So did you fix it? Did you solve the problem?
Okay. Yeah, well, it was mostly just like
definitely not.
Some of it, like it was mostly a problem of lack of self-awareness. And then and now I'm thinking to myself, everybody needs that. You either get it by someone sitting you down and telling you, whether it's like a parent doing it or somebody who just broke up with you, a friend, or you get punched in the face because you said something stupid. Something will happen. And for the people who don't, that's how you get Republican politicians. So
yeah.
You know what? That was a low blow, sir. we all know that all politicians are garbage and probably lizards. Okay, it doesn't matter if they're Democrats or listen. I'm voting Dicker for 2024 up in Canada. You're more than welcome to come up here. Trust me. If you heard how Toronto women talk, if you Google Toronto women, you're good. You're gonna make it here, okay? Because they don't even speak English anymore. It's just clicks and hums. It's very weird. For myself, I'll be honest with you. The only thing someone ever said was that I would always try and like nudge my way into areas I didn't fit, which is just because I didn't realize how big I was growing up. Which I still do that, and then I just move people. Like I'm still at a point where I can scoop somebody from under their armpits and just move them out of the way. And I'm telling you,
like a cat.
That yes, except they're humans and also not children. So I can do it to like grown people. And there's nothing more emasculating. Well, no, there's one thing. So when you scoop somebody from the armpits and move them out of your way, it's extremely emasculating. And the only thing worse is when you like I have giant meat hook hands. And so when you palm someone's entire face and say that they should stop doing what they're doing, that too is aggressively emasculating. So those two things are things that I still like to do just because I'm gigantic and you can't stop me. So it's like I've been confronted with those things, but everyone is too afraid to actually comment on my personality. So you guys are lucky. You guys are lucky that people are trying to help you become better people. Me, they're just thankful that I haven't openly murdered. Which
and fear is probably, to be feared is the healthiest way to
it feels so
live.
good. Like honestly, I cannot promote it enough. Everyone go check out Hexwood. It's in Pickering if you're in the Toronto area, because it's a huge village. You can spend all the time you want. You can go through the different mazes. There's a corn maze that was professionally built. It is from the air. It is shaped like a skull. It is terrifying.
That's cool.
OG Butt Stuff says, if you palmed my face, I'd get hard. That would make two of us, sir. Because I'll tell you, it feels great. I bragged to somebody the other day, and I'm like at my largest, I made at least 3 people poop their pants. Not like a full like it was more so like they definitely had to go home and like had to like sit on one cheek while they drove home, right? Definitely, right? And for me, that was a personal piece of pride. And now in the haunted village of Hexwood, I have definitely made a couple people pee quite a bit. Made one child stop crying. Very confusing experience, but it felt kind of, I just said hello, and then she stopped crying and was polite and said hello back, which I'm like, that kid's going places. Maybe not good places, but she's going and like determined, like focus. Like she's good people.
She'll be there.
Yeah, she's getting to wherever she wants to go, whether it's good or bad. Time will tell. But I highly recommend being feared by your local humans. It feels delicious.
I need that on a billboard. Just Dino in the welder outfit. Be feared by your local humans. Yeah, like that with the.
It's. I cannot stress it enough. I feel like I feel like I've really come into my. At the age of 400, who knew you learn to be who you really were meant to be? It's amazing. It's a fantastic feeling, people.
So with that, I guess to the listener or the watcher, leave a like or leave a comment and all that good stuff. Nina, thank you so much for coming on Generation Den.
Thanks for having me back. I love doing this podcast.
It is absolutely horrific, and thank you for showing us your stage props.
You're welcome.
For sure. Where can people find you and follow you and all that stuff?
On the street, as per usual. Or if they're not into stalking, they can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nina Dicker. That is my name, NinaDicker. They can also follow me on YouTube. And is that all the social medias? Yeah, they can follow me at all those places. Feel free.
Wait, but before we do ours, Nina, what's the worst chat line you've ever heard? From
no, the words no.
Just chat up line I've ever heard.
I think he means like pickup line, right? Because he's British,
but I feel like Nina's aggressive approach, the only bad response is someone's like no, and she's like, well, fuck you. Like that's
Well, I will say there was this one guy who, like, basically, I'm like easy to talk to. I'm easy to, if some guy was like, hey, listen, I don't want to like hook up anymore. Like, I'm seeing someone else. I'd be like, sure, whatever. And I'd go find someone new. I'm very chill. There was this one guy who chose to ghost me for no reason. He just ghosted. And I was like, hey, listen, if you don't want to talk, like, it's cool. Just like, let me know. And he just ghosted for months. And I just forgot about it. And then he randomly texted me like 8 months later. He goes, hey. And I went, what's up? Because I was like, what do you want? And he goes, and I said, what's up? And he goes, my dick, get on. And I was like, no.
Good for you.
Absolutely not. Like,
yeah.
it's been
My
8
dick,
months. Where have you been?
You know what? That is one of those things that, like, if you don't have the fortitude of character to just tell people, hey, I don't want to be around you anymore, you don't get to be like, hey, let's touch wieners. That's
Exactly.
absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. How dare you? Number one, I bet you he was small. Suck it.
He was.
Loser.
Nice.
All right.
All right. Well, you can find the show on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, sort of. No, it's not on TikTok. We don't have a TikTok yet.
You'll get there.
No, we don't.
Well,
Okay.
let's.
Yeah.
We are old.
Yeah.
I don't
that's
like.
true.
We each have a TikTok.
Yeah.
We don't need a uniform TikTok
Yeah.
for this.
That's fair.
That would be.
That's fair. I
yeah.
understand.
YouTube Shorts, I guess. But anyway, at Generation Dan on all the platforms. And then you can find me at Atlas Novak, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, I think, or my YouTube channel, The Epileptic Comic. Or you can check out my other podcast, Nexus at Night, which is about a trading card game called Vanguard. If you don't play it, that's completely understandable. How about you, Dino?
It's Dino the Genetic Marvel, which you can see right here. And just so you know, Mick T, you definitely need I would say a fight club, because you're out there in where people have bad teeth and even worse cuisine. It's fine. That's a reasonable thing. But Dino the Genetic Marvel. I haven't been producing much content for the last 2 weeks, guys. I had COVID and did a lot of mushrooms. And when I say a lot, at one point I did 19 grams in one day. Yeah. It was an enjoyable experience that I'm looking to repeat very soon. It's fun times.
If you want to hear more about that, check out I think it's either episode 114 or 115. Something about hiring a giant. Go check that one out.
That was one. Also, I did Hammered in Cheese is a cooking show I've been doing with Cole Clayton, who is an ex host of the show and former guest. And we did, just as I started to get COVID, I did a bunch of mushrooms and jumped on that show. And I'll tell you, that was 11 grams of mushrooms, because the first 5 didn't work. So I was like, I'm going to take another 6. And then you get to watch